Hey guys, it's Lauren Yates from Rave here, and today we're going to be chatting over Skype with American actor Keegan Allen, who you may remember as Toby Cavanaugh in Pretty Little Liars. Hi Keegan, how are you going today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. Welcome to Rave It Up. It's a pleasure to finally have you on the show.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be on the show and talk about my book.
And all your amazing projects. You're a busy guy. Now, since this is your first time on the show, we'd love to get to know you a little bit better. And I think we should start from the beginning because that only makes sense too, right? You've really loved photography and cinematography and other roles behind the camera when you were a kid, but did you ever think of working in the entertainment industry when you were younger?
Yeah, I mean, my dad was an actor, so I got to see that happen in front of me, and for him to change into these characters and into these roles. And it was really amazing, and I definitely wanted to be a part of that industry, because to create things and then see them become, be on TV or be on stage or be in a book, it's so fulfilling. And so obviously I did see that with my dad, and I wanted to kind of emulate his career as well.
Well, you've done a good job.
Oh, thank you so much.
There was no other careers that you wanted to pursue in your life as well, or acting was your calling?
I think I did kind of want to be a musician as well. And I had this weird thing. I wanted to be an astronaut, as any kid would want to. But I think I really got stuck in this loop of I felt like I always needed to create. So photography and acting really served that to me, and as well as music. Did you
have any difficulty in front of the camera when you first started out? Did you have any issues of being shy or anything?
No, I never really felt that way. Because you're not really yourself when you play characters or when you're on stage. You kind of take on another personality. So it used to actually, I would find so much comfort in that.
Huh, that's interesting. Never got that answer before. Now, back in 2010, I remember this so clearly. You appeared in Big Time Rush. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Yeah.
That was what, eight years ago now.
Yeah.
Crazy. And that was just a quick little cameo, but you made a statement.
Well, I'm glad. That was really fun. I didn't think that I would even be on camera. It was one of my first times being on a TV set, so it was very exciting. Playing model boy number 4 or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Amongst all these other models. Now, this was after a long break from acting for you as well. So how was it getting back into it? Well,
it just takes a long time because you never really quite know what the next job will be. And it's as an actor, you always try and find projects that you really care about. And at the time between working on every project, I always try and check in with myself and make sure that what I'm committing myself to is what I would really want to do for a long time, because as you know, when I got on Pretty Little Liars, it lasted 7 years. So it's just about being thoughtful and also almost very understanding of where each character will go, each project will go, how it will carry you, what it entails. So in those breaks, I also would spend time taking photographs, and that was when I was shooting Life, Love, Beauty a lot. So.
And I guess in life, you've got to love what you do, right? You can't get out of bed and work, right? You've got to be really passionate about it, and I can tell that you are. So it's good. You're dabbling in all these different passions.
Yeah, I'm always just trying to do what I love. You know what I mean? It doesn't ever feel like a job. It just feels like it fulfills me. So continue to create and do all kinds of things. Yeah.
Of course, me too. Interviewing, it's not a job to me now.
There you go.
Now, as you mentioned before, the show that we all know you from and love you from is obviously Pretty Little Liars, which you spent, 7 years of your life on. So it's a very long time. Is that still your proudest moment of your career?
I think, I have a lot of pride for that show, and I have a lot of pride for what it was created. And I really, really am proud mostly of the fan base, because without them, the show wouldn't have been as successful as it was, and it wouldn't be as inclusive as it was. And I think that's what I'm most proud of is our fan base.
Definitely. Well, look at that. It ended last year and people are still watching it. So that definitely shows that it's an incredible show.
I know, it's great. And even over in Australia as well.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, because you're on the show today.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite episode yourself, or is it just the whole thing in its entirety?
You know, the whole thing was really, really great. And it was a chapter of my life that I really appreciated. And I had so much fun shooting it and being a part of it. But yeah, it was great. It was great to be a part of it. And yeah, I mean, I very much loved working on the show.
Yeah, it shows. I've got to say, over those 7 years too, the character of Toby just changed dramatically. Like, I remember at the beginning, we all thought that you killed Ali. Yeah, and then look at the ending. Like, I won't spoil it for people that haven't watched it, but I did, when I was researching you as well, I did find out that you originally auditioned for the character of Ren. Is that correct?
Yeah, I had auditioned for the character of Ren.
What made you want to go for Ren and not Toby? I think it all ended up being perfect anyway, but...
Yeah, I mean, the way it works usually is as an actor, you get like a breakdown in your email, and you don't really have any say over it. You just kind of go in for auditions. So that was what I went in for first, and I had no idea that the show would be as successful as it was. I did know that there was a book series that it was following, and I didn't really get into reading it until I had booked the role of Tobias.
Well, that's very interesting. It's good hearing all the stories of like what you originally auditioned for and what you ended up with, and you know, I guess casting agents, they know how to do it. Yeah, because now I can't see you anything other than Toby now, so, and I think most people agree with me. Were you sad to see it all end after 7 years? Because that's a big chunk of your life as well.
Yeah, no, I'm not like that sad to see it end. I mean, it's like a chapter of life, and it's a job, so it's just like, it's like one facet to many different jobs, you know what I mean?
And are you still keeping in contact with everyone from the show? I did see you and Tyler have a new like Valentine's Day tradition on Instagram.
Yeah, I keep in contact with everybody. You know, you work with people for that long, and you remain friends with them. It's pretty nice.
Well, I recently had Bryce Johnson on the show too, and he told me to say hi to you. Yeah, and in his words, you're one of the fan favorites, so, and I totally agree.
It's very sweet.
Now, you did say that when you were younger, you really loved music, and musician was something that you wanted to do and I guess dabble in, which you actually have, because after Pretty Little Liars ended, you did release a song called Million Miles Away, and it's so beautiful, by the way. I hope everyone goes to check it out. And on the side of that as well, you have a fantastic podcast that I've listened to called Foreverland.
Thank you.
And also, you're an amazing photographer that's released Life, Love, Beauty, and then this month you're releasing Hollywood, Photos and Stories from Foreverland. Can you tell us more about this book? You know, what makes the two photography books different?
Well, Life, Love, Beauty was a book that I had originally shot when I was starting out in photography at 9 years old. I got really obsessed with taking photos, and my dad let me borrow he had a really interesting fine art camera, and so I had documented a lot of things and started my own kind of photo essay of life. And obviously, being on the show and being on film sets and production sets, you as an actor, it's really great because you're able to see how both sides of the street work. You can be the actor in front of the camera, and for me, it was the actor behind the camera as well. And so when Life, Love, Beauty came out as this photo essay, this existential photo essay, I wanted to kind of go deeper with that into where I grew up, which is Hollywood, and kind of show people that may have never been to Hollywood. Maybe they live in Hollywood, maybe they're natives, maybe they moved here from somewhere else, or maybe they're just tourists. And they just, you know, people don't have a very interesting view of Hollywood, and there's different ideas of what it is. But I had a very specific idea of kind of showing every single avenue of Hollywood in its entirety, whether it was the darkness, the chase, the dream. But I wanted the book to speak to people in different ways. So I never wanted to tell someone how to feel, but rather give them the opportunity to experience it however they want. And Hollywood's such an interesting place where we put so much on Hollywood. I mean, it's a city of vanity, and it thrives on seeing people at their best and at their worst. But I very much wanted to include eye contact in it, so I was very, very focused on portraits and shooting people and seeing their eyes, because not a lot of people make eye contact with strangers here. And it's one of these towns where everybody's looking to see someone famous or see someone that they know, yet everybody's, trying to do their own thing. But I wanted to do that, and I also wanted to bring an expose of the city as well. It's somewhere that I wanted to protect it, and also to show it for what it is. When you walk down the street, when you live here, when you hear about it and you see movies, you see amazing movies, and you go, where was that shot? Oh my God, it was right here. It's great to kind of to bring people into that world.
Definitely. Well, I've been to Hollywood, and I gotta say, when I was looking at the book, I was like, there's a lot here that I didn't even see while I was there, and a whole new, as you said, a whole new side and angle to it that we don't realize.
Yeah, there is. There's a whole side to Hollywood, and that's why I really am excited about this book coming out, because it triggers an emotional response into everybody in a certain way, whether or not it's happy or sad or inspired or intimidated, whatever it is. There's a value to it, and it helps me to appreciate people more. When I was shooting it, I had experiences with each and every person that I shot and included in the book, and more that I didn't include in the book, but just experiences in general. And there's some heartbreaking and inspiring moments that I came in contact with. And being an actor, being somebody who's like very self-aware of people around me maybe taking my picture or knowing who I am from a television series, it's really interesting how people in Hollywood are very aware of themselves as well. And it was just a really great experience, kind of bringing that to light and bringing the people to the surface.
Absolutely. Did you have a favorite photo or story in that book?
I have a lot of those photos. It's hard to say is that there's one photo, because it kind of lives as one breathing piece. So one photo being singled out is difficult, but I think the photo on the back of the book, on the back of the jacket, of the sun going down with the almost pink atmospheric sky, really, really spoke to me. And I remember taking that photo a long time ago and feeling very at peace with, I was crossing the street. I took the photo in the middle of Hollywood. And it was interesting how there's so much craziness, the cacophony of sound, the buzz, the whirl of the chase, the dream, the triumphs, the disasters, all of it around you. And yet the sun sets and it's beautiful and it's quiet, and nobody even really noticed it. It was just like this beautiful thing happening in the background. You seem to forget sometimes that you're in the midst of, it's like another planet you're on. Everybody's trying to be seen and see someone and see something, and yet right above us, like the most beautiful sunset was happening. And it was really a touching moment.
Well, you've taken the photo and it's there forever now. So it'll be something for you to remember.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say, because I loved all the stories in it, they're all just like either heartbreaking or just, wow moments. And I think my two favorite photos was the one of Mickey Mouse holding the cash. That was such an amazing angle you took that. And even Troyan Belisario, that photo of her in the mirror, that was done so well. Like, did you think of that one yourself?
It's an interesting photo. Yeah. I mean, if someone else thought of it, they would have taken the picture. But I think what was really interesting about taking that photo is that whenever I take some sort of a photo that has reflections in it, like I said before, the city very much, this town, this industry, this idea of Hollywood thrives on seeing ourselves at our best and at our worst and at our most vulnerable. And that photo really spoke to me because it was on set, but it was Troyan sitting in front of a vanity mirror with a mirror behind her, and I was taking the photo of her and she was blurred. It was almost as if, I remember at that time she was playing two different characters for the finale, and she was very much split between two different personalities when she was on set, and I felt like I had for a moment captured the essence of both of those characters, because you see this blurred version of her, and then you see this other version of her, and it almost looks like it's two different people. And so I really, really enjoyed that aspect of that photo. And the Mickey Mouse cash thing was really special to me too, because it was like a lot of these street performers, I mean, it's their living to be out there and dressed as these characters, but they also very much believe that they are these characters, and they live and they're very proud of that, and it's so amazing, and it's inspiring as well to speak to them and see where they've come from and what kind of lifestyles they've led, and by no means is it a bad thing what they're doing. I mean, they're bringing so many people so much happiness, dressing up and putting on putting on the lights, if you will, for people on the street to kind of meet their idols. I mean, Mickey Mouse is an idol to children. It's I met SpongeBob, I met Captain America, I met Batman, and you meet these people and they're taking on these roles because it's something that they themselves wish that they could have done for themselves. I've heard that's like one part of it that I've heard. So it's exciting. It was an exciting thing to shoot each and every image.
Well, they're actors themselves, I guess, taking on the character.
They all are. Everybody in some way was involved in the industry, wants to be involved in the industry. One had broken into the industry. Whatever it was, there's some kind of tie to this almost vaudevillian street performance, and also it all kind of ties back into chasing the dream and having the realities, and whether or not it's a sad reality or if it's a happy reality. I mean, these people, they get up every morning, they put on these costumes, and they walk the street, and it's inspiring, but it's also sad, it's daunting, it's intense. But obviously the reader will draw their own conclusion when they see the photos and they pick up on these stories.
And did most of them recognize you from TV and were like, oh my god, you're taking photos?
No, it's funny. I go pretty incognito when I would take photos, and a lot of people were just, they didn't really want anything except to talk to somebody. I felt like that was really interesting. Obviously, everybody, is on there, they're hustling, they're trying to get a tip for a photo, but what I realized is the moment I started talking to somebody, they were right there with me, and they wanted to share their stories or talk to someone as themselves, not as their character. And I can actually relate to that. And
why Foreverland? You just love that word since it's the name of your podcast series as well? So Foreverland, this Foreverland is an idea that I came up with when I was a kid, that there are these perpetual lands within us all. When we go to sleep, when we wake up in the morning, when we're in kind of a daydreamy state, sometimes you'll experience a moment in time in which it feels perfect. Like you will be walking maybe down the street, or you'll see leaves falling, or you see a hummingbird, or the sun setting and the sky is orange, or you see the ocean and you hear the waves, and there's a moment in time in which you feel like, oh, this is perfect, this is perfection. I wish I could be here forever. And it's an atmospheric perfection, right? It's something that's like pretty visceral and understood within your body as a perfect world, if only for like a second. You feel it, you see it. And as a photographer, I always like to try and capture my own little like perfect Foreverlands, my own little perfect places to stash these ideas and these dreams and these moments. And my perfect version of something could be completely different than someone else's, but we might look at the same image and get a different feel for it. And so my Foreverland might not be your Foreverland, but it's these perfect places that I feel like everybody has them. Everybody has something deep within them that they go to as their happy place, but I don't call it my happy place. I just call it this Foreverland, because you can explain it to people and they might understand it, they might not, but that's why I kind of called that secondary Instagram this Foreverland, because we have multiple Foreverlands. They're almost like multiverses of like perfection. And we can visit them at any time, and through imagery, because photos are like one of the most powerful means of human communication, we can all visit these places visually and see other people's versions of Foreverland as well. It's a great thing about photos. Everyone's going to look at it differently and take something from it. So everyone should go check out KeeganAllenBook.com and go buy their own, because I highly recommend it.
Yeah, and for people in Australia, if they want to get a signed book, I'm doing on April 23rd. So the day before release, you can go to www.keeganallenlive.com, and I will be signing books for anybody all over the world, taking phone calls, talking to people. I have lots and lots of wonderful people I've met in Australia that I know were really bummed when they found out I wasn't going to be coming over there for a book tour. But I kept making the joke. I'm like, I'm going to pack up my ute, drive across the bush, and come right over to everywhere. But I will be doing this live signing, and people can pre-order their book on www.keeganallenlive.com right now, and then tune in on April 23rd at 5 p.m. Eastern Time to join me and my editor, George Woody, for Q&A, shout-outs, calls, and I'm signing anybody's book who pre-orders it. So
good on you. We're very, very happy that you're doing that. Now, you do have more than 6 million followers on Instagram, and I've got to say, you're an amazing role model for people. But does that ever get to you? Do you find it hard to stay grounded with success like that, or is it just more daunting? Like, oh my God, 6 million people looking at my photos.
Well, no, I don't even think of it like that. I mean, I'm more appreciative and grateful that people are taking the time to be a part of my life in that way, and it's exciting, I think, for me more than anything else. It's an exciting thing to be able to promote my art, my visions, my things that I care about, and have people there that are receptive to it. I think that's the way I look at it. I think of all of that stuff as very positive and really exciting.
So you don't have any problems with haters online or anything like that?
I mean, I usually always just feel like if someone's like really like, I mean, to me, I look at my life, and if someone's like hating on me, I don't really know. I usually just feel really bad for the person because there's really nothing. I don't know. I always try and like stay out of that kind of stuff because usually there's something else that's going on that has nothing to do with me if someone's hating on me. Yeah, and if I had done something that really affected someone and they're publicly hating on me, then like I'll address it. But I mean, most of the time, I'm pretty solid on just, creating pretty pictures and having great friendships and sharing funny, cool moments in my life.
Yeah, you gotta focus on the positives because you have a lot more people that love you than hate you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like also like the only times that I've ever gotten like haters, they've usually just been people that were trying to get attention, like trolling me. And then when I reach out and I go like, whoa, what's going on? And they're like, oh my God, thank you so much for answering. So I'm like, all right, there you go.
Just the way to get your attention. Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
Now, Keegan, since we have you today, I would also really love to ask, do you have any advice for our followers that might want to follow their dreams of either becoming an actor, a singer, photographer, or any of the amazing things that you do in your life?
I mean, the first and foremost, that's always an interesting question to take on. I think it's as long as you believe in yourself and you have the neural pathways set for you that you're positive and what you're doing makes you feel good. Forget about everybody else, and if what you're doing makes you feel good and fulfilled, then that's all that matters. And if you keep doing it, you'll get better at it, and then eventually someone will pay you. And then that's just the way it goes. Most people have this idea that they will be like, oh, I want to be an actor, or I want to be a photographer, but I don't want to put in any of the work for it. I just want to be famous, or I just want to have a gallery. Well, then you're not going to, you just won't statistically. I mean, there's the odds are really stacked against you at that point to create. So if, for me with acting, I do it and I feel great while I'm doing it. So I just continue to do it. And, or if I'm, taking photos, it makes me feel so fulfilled and so happy. I just keep doing it. And, I've been doing it for, almost, 20 years now at this point, where I've been constantly taking photos and constantly creating something that, you create a body of work and you understand it a little bit more as a craft. I always say, and people always ask me, well, what do I do? How do I get an agent? I'm like, whoa, slow down. If you really love acting, then it doesn't matter about agents and managers and casting directors. It matters about the material that you want to see yourself do. Go pick up plays, go read Stella Adler, Meisner technique, Lee Strasberg technique, all of these there's amazing amounts of knowledge online, and not just on YouTube. I mean, as far as reading, read all of these books, read some great plays and novels that are based on great acting teachers and great actors, and kind of find a style within that. And really, when people say follow your dreams, you actually have to like actually go. You can't just be like, oh yeah, I want this sort of. You have to like pretty much be borderline obsessed with it.
Absolutely. That's fantastic advice. I couldn't have phrased that any better.
Oh, cool.
And we are getting to the end of the interview, unfortunately. It's been a lot of fun and I've definitely learned a lot about you. But as a closing statement, and was probably the most important question, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 14-year-old self?
I would be I would just make sure that they're okay. Like, I think I recently like thought of this the other day, is like, if I put my like 10-year-old self, my 14-year-old self, my 16-year-old self, my 18-year-old self, my 20-year-old self, my 21-year-old self, because it changed a lot, my 24-year-old self, and my 26-year-old self in a room together, none of us would get along. But then I was like, well, I think all I would want to do is just like make sure and check in with all of my younger versions of myself that I'm okay. Because when you're in life, you need to be like more fragile with yourself while you're growing up. Even now that I assume that I'm a man now, I've like grown up into an adult, I still need to check in with myself and make sure I'm okay. You know what I mean? I still need to make sure that like I'm happy and that I'm like doing what I love and that I'm constantly grateful and I'm finding gratitude in every moment. But I would definitely check in and just be like, hey man, hey buddy, you all right? You good? That's what I would say, honestly. I wouldn't need to teach myself anything, because back then there was nothing I could have learned that I wasn't already pursuing. So it would have been, I think, more beneficial to have someone just like walk up to me and be like, hey, are you okay? But no, really, are you okay? You know what I mean?
Check on you mentally, because that's really, really important, especially at that age.
Yeah.
Now, before we go, Keegan, if the listeners would like to contact you or find out what you're up to, where should they go?
Well, obviously on Instagram is always going to have all the updated info, which is at KEEOONE, or my secondary personal Instagram, which is at this Foreverland, which is also a podcast, which I do sporadically. And you could also check into my Twitter, which is at Keegan Allen, or on my website now, which is www.keeganallenbook.com. And that'll have all the updates on tour info within the United States. But if you're in Australia, www.keeganallenlive.com is where you want to go. And and just that's probably the best way to keep in contact.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Keegan. I really appreciate your time. I know that you're a very busy guy.
Thank you so much, yeah.
No, you're welcome. Love to have you on again in the future. So there's a lot more other things I'd love to talk about as well. But hopefully next time we can do it in person. Are you thinking of coming to Australia anytime soon?
Yeah, what part of Australia are you in?
In Sydney.
Oh, I was just there like last year in September.
Ah, you think they're coming back?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I would definitely come back. I loved it. It was so wonderful and cool, and your beaches are amazing. I love open water swimming, even though there's like lots of things in the water that are dangerous. I really loved the beach there.
Cool. Well, the beaches are calling for you whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I love it. Well, thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. We'll keep in contact and we'll make it happen in the future then.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope you'll enjoy today's interview. And if you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, make sure to visit our website, raveituptv.com. All the podcast and videos are there for you to enjoy. But for now, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye!